We are live with today's MMA news, and not just the MMA news you already know, but also a UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak full card prediction and confident picks video. Obviously, we're gonna post a separate video for the UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak full card prediction and confident picks. We'll post separate videos for those. But that is what we're going to be doing in the live stream. So if you are early on and you are in this live stream, while it is a live stream, you're going to get the full card predictions before anybody else. First question of the night, Lionheart 1906. Can Alex Pereira beat everyone in the light heavyweight division? Definitely not. I don't think he can. If we look over to the UFC rankings, let's check it out. Light heavyweight, we got Glover, we got Jan, Magomed, Alexander. No, he can definitely not be everyone. I think he loses to guys like Prohashka, Teixeira, Blachowicz, Magomed Ankalaev. He's probably not even a top 10 fighter in the light heavyweight division, if I'm going to be dead honest with you. But y'all know how it goes if you're new to the channel. And if you're old to the channel, you'll know how it goes. We're going to do the MMA news before we get into the main topics of the day, which is going to be the UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivak, full card prediction, and our betting break. Not our betting break, and that's later on in the week. And our confident picks, we are instead going to be doing our MMA news before that. So, that is what we are going to be doing. I'm going to get these all ready to go. But before that, let's get into the MMA news. We go on to my Instagram where you can get a lot of gosh dang MMA news. Let's check them all out. Got some good topics. What is up, G.E. Espinoza? Welcome to the live stream. And now for today's MMA news. Dustin Poirier, I'm just kidding. I'm going to redo that one right here. Dustin Poirier gaining a lead here. I don't even know. What would I say? Gaining steam in the lightweight division right here. I don't know what to really say. Dustin Poirier at 21 wins after beating Michael Chandler with a third round rear naked choke submission with, guys, Charles Oliveira could not submit Michael Chandler. He had the back on Michael Chandler. Chandler reversed him, ground and pounded him, then he knocked him down, almost finished Charles Oliveira, and Poirier going out there gets the back of Michael Chandler when they're sweaty, when they're bloody. The hardest time for someone to get a rear naked choke submission, Dustin Poirier is able to get the hand under the chin and squeeze Michael Chandler for 1 to 2 seconds and tap him out. He's not on the submission record, but he is the #1 guy in lightweight history when it comes to KO TKOs, and he's gaining steam when it comes to just the overall amount of victories in this UFC lightweight division. He's tied with the guy he's lost to in Charles do Bronx Oliveira. We got Damian Maia above him at 22 wins right there, and these aren't just the lightweight division. We got Oliveira there, we got Jim Miller there. These guys are around the same weight class as Poirier. This is all weight classes: heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight, and so on and so forth. Only guys above Dustin Poirier are the classic legends of the sport. Jim Miller at 24, Andrei Arlovski, Donald Cerrone at 23, Damian Maia at 22, giving Dustin Poirier a top 5 status in the UFC's lightweight division, most likely going to go past Damian Maia, Donald Cerrone, Andrei Arlovski, and possibly past Jim Miller if Jim Miller decides to retire anytime soon. But that's crazy. Dustin Poirier, the most KOs in UFC history, could have extended that lead this weekend, but he decided to go for a submission, and he's gaining steam on the amount of wins in UFC history. What do y'all think? Does Dustin Poirier end his MMA career on top of the all-time winners list? Next news topic in the light heavyweight division. Carlos Ulberg set sight on Alonzo Menifield's after UFC 281 win over the man, the myth, the legend, Nicolae Negumereanu, one of the guys in that division that just has a crazy chin. But a guy that was able to crack that chin was indeed Carlos Ulberg, KOing him in just under 2.5 minutes of round. Sorry, around 3.5 minutes of round number one right there. He's right outside of the top 15 in the UFC's light heavyweight division, only losing to Kennedy Nzechukwu in his UFC debut when he came back after that with 3 wins in a row, all in front of Israel Adesanya. One of them wasn't on an Adesanya card, but Adesanya was still there right now on Tapology at least. He is at number 26 in the light heavyweight division, just beat Nicole Negamirianu. Iwan Kutalaba's a little bit above him. Kennedy Nzechukwu is right around this range right here. Did lose to Nicole as well as Dawoon Jung, so he's a little bit lower, but he's going to be fighting a guy right in here in the top 25 of the light heavyweight division, potentially. After the Alonzo Menifield Jimmy Crute fight, this fight just got announced for Perth, Western Australia. The 35-year-olds and the 26-year-old in the light heavyweight division. I'm guessing he's going to want the loser of Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menifield. If Menifield ends up losing, there could be a good chance of Menifield fighting Carlos Ulberg. But personally, if I'm Carlos Ulberg, I'm searching for this Khalil Roundtree fight. I think that'd be a much better fight for him. He's 32 years old, did lose to Johnny Walker, Iwan Kutalaba, and Marcin Prachnio. Got 3 good wins in a row, but I think he's kind of that odd one out in this light heavyweight division at number 14. So I would call out Khalil Roundtree for UFC 284 Perth, Australia, now that Alonzo Menifield does have a fight. But what do y'all think? Who should Carlos Ulberg fight next? Should he wait for Alonzo Menifield or fight the man, the myth, the legend in Khalil Roundtree at UFC 284? I do believe that's going to be the best thing for him, getting him a top 15 fight. 2 really good kickboxers in Perth, Australia would be a banger. Who do y'all think wins, Carlos Ulberg or Khalil Roundtree? Next fight. In the lightweight division, Brad Riddell is retiring in some sort of a way after UFC 281, taking on Renato Moicano, Money Moicano, going out there submitting Brad Riddell in round number 1. Brad Riddell has been submitted in round number 1 2 times in a row inside of the UFC on a pay-per-view. Most recently losing to Renato Moicano and Jalen Turner, 2 very, very solid guys in this UFC lightweight division, also getting KO'd by Rafael Fazia before that, getting 4 decision wins in a row. Magomed Mustafayev, Drew Dober, and Jamie Malarkey, solid guys in this lightweight division. But per his Instagram, he is going to be taking some time off from fighting inside of MMA and just take a while to feel when he has the fire, the urge to compete in mixed martial arts again. So do you guys believe that that'll be it from Brad Riddell? Does he return to MMA or just go over to kickboxing or just retire from all combat sports? What do y'all think about the future of Brad Riddell? Next one in the middleweight division, Alex Pereira is amongst the new UFC champions crowned in 2022. The first one we had was Davison Figueiredo taking on Brandon Moreno. Was able to get the belt in I believe that was their 3rd fight, the trilogy. They're about to do the quadrilogy at UFC Brazil, UFC 283. Then we had Carlos Esparza getting the split decision controversial banger fight in the strawweight division. Then we had the comeback of the ages with Yuri Prochazka losing 3 rounds to 1, possibly was 2-2 heading into that final round, but Glover was winning that round. If it went to a decision, the man, the myth, the legend, Glover Teixeira would still be the UFC champion, but Yuri Prochazka comes back, gets the back of Glover, a good jiu-jitsu practitioner, and submit some. I mean, it was absolutely insane. We got Brandon Moreno coming and winning the interim flyweight belt on Kai Kara France. We got Amanda Nunes regaining her strap, going out there and dominating the woman, the myth, the legend, Juliana Pena. Leon Edwards coming back in an all-time classic, getting destroyed for 3 rounds, winning round number 1, but losing the next 3. and then a head kick in Kamaru Usman in the final round, about to lose the decision, and he comes back with a crazy, crazy win. We had Islam dominate a very good champion in Charles Oliveira and submit him with an arm triangle choke in round 2, or I believe it might have been round number 1. I could be mistaken, but it was a very, very easy win from Islam Makhachev. I believe it was round number 2. We had Zhang Weili go out there, get the rear naked choke submission on Carla Esparza, who is one of the least long reigning champions in that strawweight division. I mean, it was a dominant win by Zhang Weili. And then a third crazy comeback of the year. We had 9 new champions in 2022, and 3 of them were crazy comebacks. Yuri Prochazka, Leon Edwards, and Alex Pereira. It was absolutely insane. What do y'all think about all these 9 new champions in the UFC? Do you think they will all, I mean, some of them have already lost their belt, like Carla Esparza right there, but what do y'all think about these champions? Do they have a chance of holding on to the gold and staying champion in the UFC? What do y'all think about the future of these champions? Next one in the strawweight division, Zhang Weili says, I'm just kidding, it's not Zhang Weili says, in the strawweight division, Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook CEO and very big UFC fan. I mean, he loves the UFC, all things MMA. We saw a clip of him earlier on this year training in mixed martial arts, and he goes on to say, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg wants to see Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko next. Congrats, I'd love to see you fight Valentina for a second belt, says the Facebook CEO, and I'm going to be honest, it would not be too bad of a fight. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen. As of right now, Zhang Weili is the champion. You got girls like Amanda Lemos right there and Rose Namajunas that are looking to go and fight for the belt against Zhang Weili. You got a potential Jessica Andrade rematch in the strawweight division. You got a lot of different matchups here. Yan Xiaonan did lose to Marina Rodriguez. Marina's coming off a loss, but at least right now, Zhang Weili has 3 different fights that she could potentially have next in the UFC strawweight division. Not to mention, I mean, if she's going to go up to the flyweight division, you got to remember the fighters that are over there in the flyweight division. We got Manon Fiorot, we got Alexa Grasso, Jessica Andrade, and Laura Murphy, all coming off some good wins, and that are very, very close to challenging for the belt as well. Most notably, Manon Fiorot. So I don't think now would be the time to get a double champion status for Zhang Weili. I believe have Zhang Weili defend her belt against either Amanda Lemos or Rose Namajunas at UFC Brazil, if it's Amanda Lemos at UFC 285, if it is Rose Namajunas, or even like a UFC China fight card against either one of those girls, and have Valentina fight Manon Fiorot or one of the other girls. I don't think this should happen right now. Maybe if Zhang Weili defends once or twice in the strawweight division and Valentina is able to defend against Manon Fiorot as well as Alexa Grasso in the flyweight division, then I would start to consider having a fight between Zhang Weili and Valentina Shevchenko. But for right now, let's postpone that for now. I don't want to see it just yet. But what do y'all think? Should they do this fight in the flyweight division? Next one. In, well, the flyweight division, Erin Blanchfield wants Andrea Lee or Casey O'Neill next. I would like to move into the top 10 of the UFC's flyweight division. If we look at Erin Blanchfield right there, going out there and destroying Molly McCann, the TKOing her in the same fight that she submitted her. I mean, it was an absolute domination from Erin Blanchfield in that fight. She's been dominating girls outside of the top 15 as well. 4-0 in the UFC. I believe she would beat Macy Barber. I believe she would beat Casey O'Neill and Andrea Lee, but she's challenging both Casey O'Neill and Andrea Lee. I believe an Andrea Lee fight would make a little bit more sense as of right now, as Andrea Lee does not deserve anything in going up in the rankings, as she did lose to Viviane Araújo right there, and she did go on 2 fights before that, but right now Andrea Lee versus Erin Blanchfield does make some sense. Personally, I want to give Erin the big step up. I want to give her Viviane Araújo and really get her in the mix in the flyweight division. I know she wanted Andrea Lee or Casey O'Neill. I'm on board for giving her Viviane Araújo. If she wins that one, give her the loser of Manon Fiorot, Alexa Grasso, who I do believe would be Alexa Grasso, but it's very likely Alexa could pull out that victory. So let's give her 2 more fights to the title. We got Viviane Araújo, the loser of Alexa Grasso, Manon Fiorot, and then a title fight. Or Viviane Araújo, Caitlin Chukagian, and then a title fight. Caitlin's just that kind of gatekeeper in this flyweight division. So there's a lot of things you can do with Erin right now. I believe an Andrea Lee fight could make some sense, but I'd rather a Viviane Araújo. And Casey O'Neill, definitely not. I would say Casey O'Neill is injured right now, and when she comes back, maybe she gets the loser of Lauren Murphy, Jessica Andrade. What do you think about that in the flyweight division? UFC offered Jorge Masvidal to Gilbert Burns, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and he declined, per Gilbert Burns on Twitter. The welterweight contender, top 5 and number 5 now. I'm surprised Bilal Muhammad went above Gilbert Burns, so did Hamza Chimaev, but the number 5 welterweight fighter in the world is calling out the number 11 Jorge Masvidal, game bred, the BMF bad mofo, is declining a fight with Gilbert Burns. Gilbert is a top 5 UFC welterweight in the world. Jorge Masvidal does not even deserve a Gilbert Burns fight. But if you're going to get a Gilbert Burns fight and you're number 11 coming off a loss, there's no way you deserve to go inside of the top 5. But if the UFC and Gilbert Burns is offering you that fight to get inside of the top 5 of the welterweight division, and you're not even coming off a win, and you're ranked number 11, going to fight number 5, you need to take that gosh dang fight. But Jorge Masvidal declines the offer of Gilbert Durinho Burns for UFC 282. Alright, maybe we postpone it for UFC 283, but guess what? Jorge declined for that one as well. He declined 3 times for Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert might have to think about possibly fighting Neil Magny in the welterweight division, right around the same ranking at number 13, coming off a win on Daniel Rodriguez. I don't know what's going to happen here. I believe a fight with Jorge Masvidal would be a good one for Gilbert Burns. I think Jorge would get absolutely destroyed, and that's probably why he's not taking the fight. But again, if you're number 5 in the welterweight division, if you're number 11 and the number 5 guy is calling you out, you have to take that fight. You absolutely have to take that fight. What do y'all think about the BMF becoming the PMF, the puss something mofo in Jorge Masvidal? What do y'all think about this situation in the welterweight division? Light heavyweight division, Vitor Belfort out of boxing match with Hasim Rahman Jr. on November 19 inside of boxing. I don't know what else to say right there, but Vitor Belfort, former UFC champion, who beat guys, some high level guys in the UFC, a very high level Brazilian fighting guys like Chris Weidman, Gegard Mousasi, knocking out Michael Bisping, Luke Rockhold, Dan Henderson, Anthony Rumble Johnson, rest in peace, and so many other banger and very good champions in the UFC. He has beaten a lot of champions and fought a lot of champions inside the UFC. Was scheduled to fight Hasim Rahman Jr. twice, but again, Belfort has tested positive for COVID-19, so, their second fight has been canceled right now, and now we're going to get this banger of a fight as the main event. Josh Brueckner and Chase Demore for the ICB International title, the 4-2 pro MMA fighter, 1-0 as a boxer, is going to be fighting in the main event. Didn't even get a finish in his boxing debut. Yeah. This card is ruined. This card is absolutely ruined. Vitor Belfort pulls out, and this card has gone to shambles. What do y'all think? Who would have won? Vitor Belfort or Hasim Rahman Jr.? Which one in the flyweight division? Shannon Ross and Clinton Rodriguez in the flyweight division. This UFC 284 Perth card is starting to look very, very good right now. Now getting this banger in the UFC's flyweight division, that is Clinton Rodriguez taking on Shannon Ross. If you don't know who Clinton is, if you don't know who Shannon Ross is, this is a freaking banger. Shannon Ross went out there and he puts on amazing fights every single time. The Charlie Alaniz fight went 3 rounds, but that was a war. Knocked out Paul Loga, did lose to Steve Erceg, but that was a back and forth war. Beat Donovan Freelo in a back and forth war, and then lost to Vinicius Salvador, who is inside of the UFC. Guess what? In a back and forth war. Clinton Rodriguez losing to CJ Vergara in a back and forth battle right there. Santa Caralto beating him by unanimous decision. I mean, these are some really exciting flyweight prospects right here. I don't expect Shannon Ross or Clinton Rodriguez to be like, future UFC champions or anything, to go out there and claim gold in the UFC flyweight division, but they put on exciting fights every single time they go out there, and I hope Shannon Ross wins because it is in Perth, Australia. He's from Queensland, Australia. He should go out there, put it all on the line, and make this a bloodbath, a war, a fight of the night contender right here. I think it's going to be a banger. Who do y'all think wins and why? Shannon Ross and Clinton Rodriguez. I'm going to go Clinton Rodriguez to win round 1 and Shannon Ross to win round 2 and round 3 and edge out a close decision. But what do y'all think? Put your predictions down below. Next one, and the second last one, I believe, in the light heavyweight division, Alonzo Menifield and Jimmy Crute has been set for UFC 284 Perth, Australia, in what is going to be a very good fight in the light heavyweight division. Alonzo Menifield only losing to William Knight in a fight a lot of people actually thought Alonzo Menifield did enough to win. Did lose to Devin Clark as well earlier on in his career, Ovi St. Preux, but he's got great wins over Paul Craig, a top 10, top 15 light heavyweight in the world. Knocked him out round number 1, beat Fabio Chiron and Herman Askar Mozarov, as well as Misha Serganov right there. Now, he's going to fight Jimmy Crute, who did lose to Misha Serganov, a guy Alonzo Menifield beats, lost to Anthony Smith, and lost to Jamal Hill, most recently beating Modestas Bukauskas and Michal Oleksiejczuk right there in the light heavyweight division. And right now, if we look at the UFC rankings, when it comes down to that light heavyweight division, Alonzo is not inside of that top 15, but Jimmy Crute sitting at number 13, only losing to number 5, way up there inside of the UFC. So this is going to be a banger in my opinion. Jamal Hill, I'm just kidding, not Jamal Hill, Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menifield in the light heavyweight division. Personally, I'm going to go Jimmy Crute to win a decision. I think the fight goes all the way, but it's going to be a banger. Who do y'all think wins and why? Put your thoughts down below. And that is it for today's MMA news. Let's check the comments. I lost my parlay because of Choi. Choi. I mean, he leaves his head out way too much, way too far out in the open, and it was not a good one for him. How did your bets go? I lost money on the card. My parlay did not do good because I had Poirier go into a decision, and that one barely almost went to a decision. I miss you in Schmidt's class. Took 3 of your 4 highest confident picks and won a 3-leg parlay. Awesome, Josh Miller. Let's go. That's what I like to hear. All right. Now that is over, let's get into today's not MMA news, but today's topics, which is the full card prediction. UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivak. Full card prediction, we got Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, taking on Sergey Spivak in the heavyweight division. We got a lot of big boys on this card, especially at the top, with Kennedy Nzechukwu, Iwan Kutalaba at 205, Waldo Cortez Acosta and Chase Sherman at 265, Muslim Salikov, Andre Fialio, Cody Brandon, Chodolfo Vieira, Jack Della Maddalena, and Danny Roberts, and some good fights on the prelims as well. Cancellations are light heavyweights William Knight, Marcin Prachnio, and bantamweights Jose Johnson, Vince Morales, and Kyler Phillips, and Jack Shore. Overall, still a pretty decent card. We're going to give you my predictions and my thoughts for UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak. If you're new to the channel, I mean, come on, subscribe. We got these predictions coming at you every single week. Comment your predictions down below in, well, the comment section. Check the description for my bets. With all that being said, let's get into the first fight of the night. If it can go, Natalia Silva and Teresa Bleda. In the flyweight division, Teresa Bleda, 20 years old, 21 years old. By the end of 2022, she's 5'9", very tall, very, very lengthy. In this flyweight division, very good wrestler, very good grappler, likes to take the fight down, control it there, and ground and pound. Coming off a ground and pound TKO win on Mabeli Lima right there, an armbar, a rear naked, another ground and pound TKO win as an amateur, went 8-0, beating Lucy Pudilova, who, guess what, is coming off a very good win inside the UFC in which she went out there and beat Yenon Wu by TKO in round number 2. And guess what? This girl, that's a flyweight, Teresa Bleda, was able to go out there and destroy Lucy Pudilova and win a unanimous decision. She's only 20 years old, which makes it so much even more crazy for Teresa Bleda. But fighting a girl like Natalia Silva is not going to be easy. Natalia Silva 1-0 in the UFC, only losing to Marina Rodriguez recently, who's a top 5 women's flyweight in the world. Very good grappler, armbars over and over and over, submissions over and over and over. Out of all of her wins, half of them are coming by submission right there, a few of them by TKO, and only 2 going all the way to a decision. But I do believe this one will go to a decision. Betting odds are saying the fight's probably going to go to a decision. I would have to agree. Right here, Silva by decision, that is going to be my prediction. I think Natalia Silva is going to go out there, pressure forward on Teresa Bleda, defend the takedowns. I think we're going to see some good scrambles in the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling and things like that. Going to be pretty even on the ground, slight edge to Teresa Bleda, but on the feet, Natalia Silva is going to have more power, she's going to have more speed, able to land the more effective shots onto Teresa Bleda, and I do believe she'll win 2 out of 3 rounds in the striking on Teresa Bleda, and then the wrestling and grappling will be very, very even, giving a very, very slight win to Natalia Silva here, 29-28 on the judges' scorecards. Next one in the bantamweight division, Fernie Garcia and Brady Houston. In the bantamweight division, 23 and 30 years old, taller and lengthier is Brady Houston. The better wrestler, the better grappler is Brady Houston, with the better striker being Fernie Garcia. Fernie, very solid boxer, he's got good volume early on in the fight, he's got some pretty decent striking. Later on in the fight, he tends to gas out just a little bit, and that is actually where I'm not actually going to go out there and say Brady's going to land those takedowns early on. I think if Brady's going to have some success here with the wrestling and grappling, I think it's going to be a little bit later into round number 2, round number 3. Round 1, Fernie's going to do very, very well, and I believe win round number 1, outstriking Brady Houston, landing the harder shots. But Brady's going to use that round as a feeling out process to gas out Fernie a little bit, and in round number 2, round number 3, that's where I believe Brady's going to start to mix in that pressure, come forward on Fernie Garcia, start to land his combinations on the feet, start to mix in those takedowns to control Fernie on the ground, attempt some submissions, attempt some ground and pound, and that's where I think Brady Houston is going to win round 2 and round 3 and get the unanimous decision. Maria Oliveira and Vanessa Demopoulos in the strawweight division. Maria Oliveira, 25, almost 26 years old, a lot younger, a lot taller, a lot lengthier, pretty good get-up game, going out there in her UFC debut against a very good wrestler and grappler, good ground and pound and things like that, very good at controlling the fight on the ground in Tabatahichi. Then she ended up fighting Gloria De Paula, who was able to mix in some takedowns, but Maria was able to get right up on a lot of those takedowns and use her height, use her reach to stay at range and, for the most part, outstrike Gloria De Paula. Vanessa Demopoulos is a pretty decent striker, I would say, pretty good in the clinch, good submission game as well, submitting Silvana Gomez Juarez, and mixing in some takedowns and things like that on Jin Yu Frey. But I do believe Maria Oliveira will be able to defend most of the takedowns of Vanessa Demopoulos and keep this one on the feet. One of the closest fights in the card. I do not be surprised if Maria Oliveira is the underdog by the UFC Fight Night, because right now it's looking like a -110 fight. On most of the betting odds, I do lean Maria Oliveira to win. I think she'll get up on a lot of the takedowns of Vanessa Demopoulos and land more volume at range on Vanessa. Vanessa's a pretty tough one. Didn't get finished by Lupita Godinez, didn't get finished by JJ Aldrich. I think if there's going to be a finish, it would be Vanessa Demopoulos, but I think the fight goes all the way. Maria outstrikes Vanessa on the feet, using the height, using the reach, and wins the decision. Ricky Tercios and Kevin Natividad in the bantamweight division. Ricky Tercios, I'm going to go out right now and say it, he's taller, he's lengthier, they are the same age. Kevin Natividad is 0-2 in the UFC, getting knocked out twice in a row. Doesn't have the best chin in the UFC's bantamweight division. I think the UFC wants Ricky Tercios to win this fight. He beat Daniel Argueta right there. Very, very good win. Considering Daniel Argueta has gone on to have a very, very close fight with Damon Jackson since then. Was able to beat Randy Montala, Myron Santos, and Diego Silva since then. I mean, that win has definitely aged very, very well. Beat Lidovic Shalinian and Brady Heastan, all of which were decisions. But Lidovic, very tough guy. Brady Heastan, super tough guy. Daniel Argueta, all of these three guys can definitely take some damage on the feet. So I don't really necessarily believe that this fight right here with Ricky Tercios and Kevin Natividad is 100% going to go to a decision. Just because Ricky's got so many decision wins on his MMA record, I actually think this one's going to be a finish. I think Kevin is going to go out there, start to pressure, try to land some big shots on the feet in round number 1, and Ricky's really going to start to pick up the pace so we can get the finish in the later rounds. I think round 1, Kevin Natividad might win. Round number 2, Kevin's going to start to slow down a little bit. Ricky's pressure and his volume, mixing in the takedown, some elbows, some good knees in the clinch, pressure. He's really going to start to shine through on the Kevin Natividad. He's going to win round number 2 pretty decisively. In round 3, that's where Kevin Natividad is really going to break. And that's where Ricky Tercios is really going to start to pour on the pressure. In my opinion, he'll have to land those big shots on the ground, attempt some submissions, and he's going to land something good on the feet, ground and pound Kevin Natividad for a 3rd round TKO victory. Ricky Tercios getting his first TKO win and his first finish in the UFC. I got Ricky by TKO. Miles Johns and Vince Morales in the bantamweight division. Short notice, indeed, as Vince Morales was originally supposed to be fighting against Jose Johnson. I would have had Jose Johnson winning, but this definitely is a little bit of a closer fight. Same height, same reach, similar in age, really doesn't matter too much, and pretty similar in experience as well. Vince Morales, I would say, is going to be the better striker here. Was able to outstrike Draco Rodriguez for the most part in their fight, only losing to Chris Gutierrez, who's one of the best strikers in the bantamweight division right now. Jonathan Martinez, another one of the best strikers in the bantamweight division right now. Miles, not one of the best strikers, but he does have some significant power, knocking out Kevin Natividad and Anderson Dos Santos. I do believe if Vince Morales is going to win, he's going to have to play this striking game and out volume, pick apart Miles Johns on the outside, outstrike him for 3 straight rounds and win a decision. And Miles Johns is going to win. He's going to have to close the distance and land big shots. Going to have to be like Marlon Vera versus round 5, where Vince might be landing a little bit more volume, might slightly be the better striker, but Miles Johns needs to land something big every now and then follow it up with a few takedowns here and there as well, and that would be the game plan of Miles Johns, in my opinion, and that's what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to land the big shots on the feet. Vince is going to land a little bit more volume. The judges are going to be like, I don't know who to give this round to, and then boom, a good takedown, a little bit of ground and pound, maybe a submission attempt to seal the deal for Miles Johns. I think he uses that to get himself a unanimous decision. Marina Moroz and Jennifer Maia in the flyweight division. This should be in Brazil, if I'm being quite honest with you. It might be. If Jennifer Maia wins this fight or something, she might just get rescheduled for another fight at UFC 283, but this is a good one. 34 and 31 years old. Marina is taller, she is lengthier, she is younger, not as experienced as Jennifer Maia, but doing very good recently, beating Sabina Mazo, Mayra Bueno Silva, and Maria Agapova, only losing a former champion Carla Esparza and Angela Hill. Her wrestling and grappling looked very, very good in her last fight. Striking also looked pretty even in my opinion, so this one's going to be really, really tough to call. I would say if you're betting on it, I'm going to give you an early sneak peek to the betting breakdown. If you're going to bet on this fight between the women Marina Moroz and Jennifer Maia, only thing I would do would be a sprinkle on Jennifer Maia by decision to like plus 200 once those odds come out, because Maia by decision is going to be like 2-1. Marina Moroz by decision is going to be like 1-1. You're not going to get much value therein. I do believe it's going to be a split decision victory for Marina Moroz. Gonna be one that could go either way, depending on how you look at it. Because Marina, I do believe is gonna be slightly better when it comes to the takedown, controlling on the ground and pound, and things like that. But Jennifer, I would say, is gonna be a little bit better when it comes to the submission game, and then the striking is gonna be very, very even. And if Jennifer is able to do a few key big things on the feet, she can easily win this fight in the striking, and the grappling could be very even, and some of these judges could give it to Jennifer Maia. So I think this is going to be one of the closest fights on this UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivak. The striking going to be very, very 50-50, but what's going to seal the deal is going to be the superior wrestling and a little bit of ground and pound from Marina Moroz right here. One of the closest fights on the card. I'm going to go Marina Moroz 29-28, 28-29, and 29-28 split decision. Zhalgas Zhumagula versus Charles Johnson in the flyweight division. I feel pretty good about this one, weirdly. Even though, like, a guy like like Zhalgas Zhumagula, I just saw Halion Paiva right here, even though he's a super, super live underdog to go out there, take down Charles Johnson and out-wrestle him and control him on the ground, even put on heavy, heavy pressure, beat him in the clinch as well. I mean, Zhalgas Zhumagulov is a super, super duper live dog. I mean, the Halion Paiva fight was a 50-50 one. That one could have gone either way. The Jeff Molina one was a 50-50 fight. That one could have gone either way. So a Charles Johnson fight, you might be thinking, why am I feeling so good about Charles Johnson when he came off a split decision on Jeff Molina, a top 15 flyweight fighter in the world? Well, the reason being is Charles is so much taller, so much lengthier than Zhalgas Zhumagulov, and he's pretty good at getting out of the clinch situations. Unless he's fighting a guy like freaking Mohamed Mokaev, who's able to get that clinch and get the back of Charles Johnson. Zhalgas isn't the guy to get the back of his opponents. He's the guy to get the fight in the clinch, grind there, land some knees, land some elbows, some shots to the body, grind. Not really the guy to go for a finish there, get the back, and look for a submission. And that's where I think Charles is going to have some success, as Zhalgas isn't really going out there for the intent of getting the back of Charles, so that's not going to be too much of an issue. For Charles Johnson, he's going to land some knees in the clinch, get right out of the clinch, and he's going to be the better striker at range. So I feel weirdly good about this fight, but I believe Charles' get-up game here will be good. I believe he'll have good takedown defense, get out of those clinching situations from Zhalgas Zhumagulov, and make this a 3-round striking fight. Charles does have some pretty good power, was able to knock out Carlos Mota, was able to knock out Camilo right there, and is able to submit Carly Pangilian, who was an undefeated guy at the time. But I think this fight goes all the way. If Jeff Molina is not able to knock him out, I don't think he's going to be able to, so I'm going to go Charles Johnson to outstrike Zhalgas Zhumagulov and win this one by a decision. Next one in the welterweight division, Jack Della Maddalena and Danny Roberts in the welterweight division. You already know, Jack Della Maddalena KO TKO, round number 1, round number 2. Similar height, similar reach right there, but he is about 11 years younger than Danny Roberts. He's going to knock out Danny Roberts early on in this fight, like Michel Pereira did, like Francisco Trinaldo was almost able to do, and he's going to TKO him early on in this fight and get rescheduled immediately for UFC 284 against, I don't know, let's check the freaking welterweight rankings. Who are we going to give? Jack Della Maddalena. Let's give him Chaos Williams for UFC 284. Let's give him Daniel Rodriguez for UFC 284. There's a lot of good matchups, but speaking of this one, Danny Roberts is not good, man. The chin of Danny Roberts really is not that good. He's pretty tall, pretty lengthy, good at staying at range and picking his opponents apart on the outside and winning the fight that way. Sure, he was able to do that on Ramazan Ameev. Robbery. He was able to do that, stay at range and knock out Zalimi Matayev, but Jack isn't going to stay at range. Jack isn't going to let Danny Roberts jab him and 1-2 him at range, leg kicking him and body kicking him at range. He's not going to let him do any of that. In this fight, Jack Della Maddalena is going to close that distance, get Danny Roberts back to that cage, and he is going to throw hook after a hook after a hook, and he's going to knock out Danny Roberts. Yes, Jack Della Maddalena's nose might be a little bit cracked even after like the first jab of Danny Roberts, but it's cracked up after almost every single fight. So not to worry, Jack will get hurt a little bit. I mean, his nose will get hurt, not him per se, but he's going to get Danny Roberts back to the chin, back to the cage in round number 2 after gassing out Danny Roberts in a banger of a round number 1 and TKOing him on the feet. A little bit of ground and pound in round number 2. I'm calling this pure and utter domination from Jack Della Maddalena. Next one in the middleweight division, Cody Brundage and Rodolfo Vieira. In the middleweight division, Cody Brundage going out there and beating Joseph Kropschat, losing to Nick Maximov in his UFC debut, also losing to William Knight by TKO, but beating Dolce Lungambola in a come-from-behind victory. I mean, he was losing that fight, and then he came back and submitted him in a crazy come-from-behind win. Then he went out and starched Tresean Gore in round number 1, and he has power, and he's a very strong, very good wrestler. Rodolfo Vieira, better jiu-jitsu guy and a slightly better kickboxer. So I believe this is going to be a 50-50. Again, if you're betting this one, do not bet the favorite. It is a dog or pass when it comes to Rodolfo Vieira and Cody Brundage. Minus 135, I might have considered putting a little bit of money on Rodolfo Vieira, but right now it is dog or pass. Rodolfo is better when it comes to jiu-jitsu. He's really good at getting the back of his opponents and submitting them. Arm triangle is one of his main weapons. Only losing a really good cardio king in his middleweight division and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, and a really good takedown defense, Chris Curtis. But Chris Curtis had better striking and he had good takedown defense. Cody Brundage has good takedown defense as he is a good wrestler, which is why I do believe this is going to be a 3-round striking fight. But is Cody Brundage the better striker? No. I do believe Rodolfo Vieira is going to be the better kickboxer, going to be landing more volume on Cody Brundage, better kicks, better jabs, 1-2s, and things like that. It comes down to can Rodolfo Vieira land that volume without getting caught by the power that is Cody Brundage. Because Cody Brundage has huge power in his hands to easily go out there and TKO Rodolfo Vieira. If he's able to catch that chin of Rodolfo Vieira and of anyone in this middleweight division, he can knock out almost anyone in this division. So I do have Rodolfo Vieira winning by a unanimous decision, but Cody is live to catch that chin of Rodolfo Vieira. I believe this is going to be 3 rounds of striking, a few takedown attempts here and there from Rodolfo Vieira, maybe some clinching, and Rodolfo trying to get the back of Cody Brundage. But overall, mainly a striking bout, Rodolfo by decision. Andre Fialho and Muslim Salikov in the welterweight division. Another very close one in this welterweight division. Muslim a slight underdog here on Bet Online. Andre Fialho at 28 years old, beating Cameron Van Camp by knockout, Miguel Baeza by knockout, Stefan Sekulic by knockout as well, only losing decision to Michel Pereira and a KO to Jake Matthews. He's very young at 28 years old, taller and lengthier than Muslim Salikov. Muslim going out there beating Francisco Trinaldo, Elizu Zaleski, and Lorenos Terapoli and Nordin Taleb. A lot of very solid guys in the welterweight division. A lot of them earlier on with a TKO and only losing to Jingliang Li, I believe, in round number 2. I believe Muslim Salikov wins round 1. He's going to mix in some takedowns there, land some good spinning back kicks to the body like he usually does, land some big shots, and he's going to rock Andre Fialho. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a huge shot that Muslim Salikov goes out there and then he knocks out Andre Fialho. Round number 1, Andre's chin got destroyed in his last fight against Muslim, and he got rocked against Cameron Van Camp as well. So there's a good chance Andre could get knocked out round number 1, and this prediction could look absolutely horrible. But I think Andre Fialho comes back in round number 2, slightly, barely outstrikes Muslim Salikov in round number 2, and in round number 3, Muslim Salikov is going to be very, very tired, and that's where Andre really going to start to land some good shots and also win round number 3, outstriking Muslim Salikov. So as hard as it is to say, I know a lot of you guys are like, no, Andre Fialho by KO TKO, that's the only way. I don't think so. I think the fight goes all the way. I'm going to go the plus 105 underdog, Andre Fialho, to win this one by a unanimous decision. Chase Sherman and Waldo Cortez Acosta in the heavyweight division. Waldo fighting a week ago, like not even being wrong here. He fought a week ago against Jared Vanderaa, was able to win by unanimous decision, and is coming back 2 weeks later to fight Chase Sherman after his leg got absolutely destroyed in the Jared Vanderaa fight. He's coming right back, and he's 31 years old, same height, same reach, better striker than Chase Sherman. He's bigger than Chase Sherman. He's got good takedown defense, and you already know what this is going to be. A 3-round striking fight. Chase Sherman, he's got okay leg kicks, but not as good as freaking Jared Vanderaa, which leads me to believe this is going to be 3 rounds of just straight up boxing. Not really any kicking here. Few kicks here and there from both guys. A few leg kicks here and there from both guys. But mainly, this is going to be a boxing bout from Waldo Cortez Acosta and Chase Sherman. And one that I do think goes all the way. Jake Collier is going out there submitting him. Alexander Romanov is going out there and submitting him. Cool. He's knocking out Jared Vanderaa. Very, very nice. But he did end up losing a decision to Parker Porter, a decision to Andrei Arlovsky, and I do believe Waldo has the power to TKO Chase Sherman here. I don't think he's going to. I really don't think he's going to. Chase Sherman, I believe, is going to survive to the final bell, rock Waldo Cortez Acosta in round number 2, give some adversity to Waldo Cortez Acosta in round number 2, but Waldo's just going to land a heck of a lot more volume, the jab, the 1-2s on the feet. He's going to win round 1 and round number 3. Waldo Cortez Acosta with a 29-28 decision. After that one, we go on to the light heavyweight division. Iwan Cutelaba and Kennedy Nzechukwu in the light heavyweight division, 28 years old and 30 years old in the light heavyweight division. Kennedy beating Carlos Ulberg, beating Danilo Marquez. Carl Roberson in the light heavyweight division, losing to Daun Jung, as well as Nicole Negamarianu. That was a robbery. But he's taller, he's lengthier than Iwan Cutelaba. He's the better striker. And as we saw in the Carl Roberson fight, it was Kennedy Nzechukwu Mamamanamerov. I don't know what I'm saying right now, but you can kind of get the gist. Kennedy looked like an African wrestler, not an African savage. Taking on Carl Roberson, his wrestling and his grappling and his ground and pound, his control. It all looked very, very good. And for Iwan Cutelaba, he's got to be scared coming into a matchup like this, getting submitted in his last 2 fights, beating Devin Clark right there, mainly because he was able to land that takedown and start ground and pounding the heck out of Devin Clark, getting a close fight with Dustin Jacoby because he landed the takedown and was able to ground and pound the heck out of Dustin Jacoby. That's the only reason he's winning and getting close on these fights. I don't believe he's going to go out there and dominate Kennedy Nzechukwu on the ground. I believe this is going to stay on the feet, and Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to go out there, catch Iwan Cutelaba on the feet, and ground and pound him a bit on the ground as well. Don't think this one goes all the way. Very unlikely that an Iwan Cutelaba Kennedy Nzechukwu fight is going to go the full 3 rounds. I mean, talk about crazy. If this one goes all the way, that is just going to be absolutely insane. So I do have Kennedy Nzechukwu plus 120 inside the distance to get a ground and pound at TKO, which is going to be plus 165. Good fight in the light heavyweight division. Either an Iwan early round 1 knockout, or Iwan goes for that early round 1 knockout, and Kennedy is able to do what he did with Carlos Ulberg and TKO him in the later rounds. That's kind of what I think. Kennedy in 2nd or 3rd round by TKO. Main event time here. Derek the Black Beast Lewis and Sergey Spivak. In the heavyweight division, Sergey Spivak, 27.5 years old. They're both 6'3", pretty similar in reach. The age, yeah. Yeah, Sergey is about 10 years younger, than Derek Lewis right there. Not as experienced. Obviously, Derek is 10 years older than Sergey Spivak, and he has 2 times the amount of fights as Sergey Spivak, but you already know. I know Taito Ivasa didn't go out there and wrestle Derek Lewis, didn't go out there and destroy Derek on the ground. I know Taito Ivasa, Sergey, and Cyril Gane, they weren't going out there and grappling and wrestling with Derek Lewis. They weren't dominating him on the ground or anything like that. Usually, if he's losing, it's with the speed and the things like that of the other opponent, like Cyril Gane, like Taito Ivasa, like Sergey Pavlovich. They're all able to get inside and crack Derek Lewis on the feet. But this is a different type of a matchup because all the guys that he's losing to and the guys that he's beating, none of them are going out there trying to take him down. I mean, yeah, Curtis Blaze, and he was able to land that uppercut. But if Sergey Spivak is able to stay away from that one uppercut of Derek Lewis right here, he should be able to win this one. I mean, he should be able to stay at range on Derek Lewis, making a very technical striking bout. Throw a jab, feint the takedown, have Derek try to defend that takedown, get the fight close, clinch up with Derek Lewis and work trips. Not gonna want to come in for a double leg, not gonna want to come in for a single leg. Anything like that. That's not the game plan of Sergey. We saw what happened with Curtis Blades. We do not want Sergey Spivak going for any takedowns on the outside coming in. He has to go in there, fake some shots, do some feints, come in, get Derek Lewis to bite, then come in, get the fight to the clinch, get the fight, get the body lock, and look to get Derek off the cage, get him off balance, trip him down, get into that half guard position, ground and freaking pound. And that's what I think is going to happen. I do not believe Sergey's going to look for this submission. I think he's going to do what he did with Greg Hardy, what he did with Augusto Sakai, what he did with Jared Vanderer, what he was doing with Alexei Olenek. He's going to take this fight down and ground and pound. I think round one mainly is going to be a striking round. Derek might win the round because he lands something big. Sergey might win the round because he's landing a little bit more volume. Round two, Sergey's going to find his range, figure out to find that timing, and he's going to land the takedown towards the end of round number two. Round number three, he's going to figure out that time. He's going to get the takedown easily in round number three, and that is where Sergey Spivak really is going to start to freaking ground and pound, elbow, 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 and cut up Derek Lewis in round number three. And that's where Sergey Spivak is going to TKO Derek Lewis in midway through this fight. Right before championship rounds, I think Sergey will get that trip takedown in round number three and ground and pound TKO the former title challenger in Derek Lewis. Good fight though, Sergey Spivak and Derek Lewis. I got Sergey winning round one, winning round two, and TKOing Derek Lewis in round number three. That is it for today's full card predictions. UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak. 13 fights on the entire card. I got Natalia Silva, Brady Hiestand, slight underdog on some bookies, slight favorite on others, Maria Oliveira, Ricky Tercios, Miles Johns, although that's a 50-50, Marina Moroz, although that's a 50-50, Charles Johnson, Jack Della Maddalena, Rodolfo Vieira, although that's a 50-50, underdog Andre Fialio, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Kennedy Nzechukwu, and Sergey Spivak. Those are the full card predictions. Like and subscribe. Put your predictions down below. Like this video. Comment your predictions as well. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Now it is for today's full card predictions. Not full card prediction. Now for the confident pick. Dun -dun 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 -dun. So we got to bold all of our winners right here in the UFC, oops, I messed up there. I messed up indeed in the UFC's flyweight division. Alright, that is it. Now for the confident picks. UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak. most confident picks to least confident picks. We got 13 fights on the card. I'm going to give you my percentage chance out of 100%, 50% being it's a 50-50 fight, 60% meaning it's a slight lean, 70% it's almost a confident pick. Anything above that's going to be a confident, and 90% is going to be a super confident pick for UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak. I'm going to start from the bottom of the card with Natalia Silva and Teresa Plata, go all the way to the top, giving you my percentage chance that I think every single fighter will win. My predictions are the one in bold, so Natalia Silva, Brady Heaston, Maria Oliveira, Ricky Tercios, Miles John, Jennifer Maia, Charles Johnson, Jack Della Maddalena, Rodolfo Vieira, Andre Fialio, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Kennedy Nzechukwu, and Sergey Spivak. We're going to start from the bottom with Natalia Silva. We're going to have her at a solid 59%. The reason we're going to have her as a slight lean, not a confident pick or anything. This is most confident picks to least confident picks. The reason we're going to have Natalia Silva is not a confident pick, not a super confident pick, not even an almost confident pick, but only 59% is a slight lean. It's because Teresa Plata, even though she is only 20 years old, she's undefeated as a pro, she's undefeated as an amateur, she's very good on the ground, really good wrestler, really good grappler, and could be able to grind out a very close decision. I do lean Natalia Silva to win, but Teresa is a very live dog, so 59% for Natalia Silva. Brady Heaston is going to be a bit below that one. Definitely not a confident pick, given the damage that he took against Ricky Tercios in his last fight. We're going to have him at 55%. I do believe he's going to be able to land the takedowns, control the fight on the ground in those later rounds and win, but Fernie's very good striker and could very well, if he has good takedown defense here against Brady Heaston, he could be easily win a decision, so only 55%. Maria Oliveira, she's going to be a little bit more, just a little bit more than Brady Heaston here at 57.5%. I do believe she's a little bit more confident than Brady Heaston, but a little bit less confident than Natalia Silva because she does tend to get taken down a lot in her professional MMA fights, and the pressure, if you can put pressure on Maria Oliveira, you can definitely break a girl like Maria Oliveira. So far, no confident picks on this UFC Fight Night so far. Ricky Tercios is just going to be an almost confident pick right here. Almost confident picks are starting off with is going to be Ricky Tercios at a 66%. I do believe 2 out of 3 times that Ricky Tercios should be able to win this fight. Throws more volume, he had the better wrestling, he's going to be the better striker, better volume, more pressure, more cardio and things like that. He's got the better chin. I think he should definitely go out there and win this fight. Not a confident pick just yet because of his last performance with Ayman Zahabi, but so far, Ricky Tercios is our most confident pick. Miles Johns and Vince Morales is going to be very, very low on this list, right here at 54%. Not very high, and Miles Johns is coming in on short notice. He does hit harder than Vince Morales. He does have the better wrestling than Vince Morales, but Vince is very live to just go out there and outstrike Miles Johns at range, use the strike and the volume, the combinations at range to beat Miles Johns in a very close decision. So it's a close one in the bantamweight division. I do lean Miles Johns, but definitely not a confident pick. We had the wrong one right here. I do not have Jennifer Maia winning. I do have Marina Moroz winning that fight, but it is a super, super close one. Also going to be pretty low on this list at only a 51%. So far, our least confident fight on the card. Only reason being is because of how even it is everywhere. Striking, I do believe, is going to be very even. Jiu-Jitsu, I think, is going to be in Jennifer Maia's favor. And wrestling, I think, is going to be in Marina Moroz's favor. So it's a 50-50 fight, in my opinion, with a very, very slight lean for Marina Moroz. Zhalgus Zhumagulov is going to be right in the almost confident picks category at 69%. Better grappler, taller, lengthier, more volume on the feet, better strike, and more power than Zhalgus Zhumagulov. Charles Johnson should get that victory. Jack Della Maddalena is going to be right here, and we're going to have Jack Della Maddalena as a super confident pick, of course. super confident pick inside of the UFC. Jack Della Maddalena is going to be, let's go 85%. I'm feeling very, very good on Jack Della Maddalena to go out there and easily win on Danny Roberts, land the harder shots, land the bigger shots, and TKO Danny Roberts in that fight. I'm feeling very, very good. Rodolfo Vieira next is going to be a slight lean right around Vince Morales' range, just a little bit lower at 53%. Just like the Marina Moroz fight, Rodolfo is the better jiu-jitsu guy. Cody Brundage is the better wrestler, and the striking barely goes Rodolfo Vieira in what is going to be a very close fight. So Rodolfo is going to be very low on that list. Andre Fialho and Muslim Salikov. I lied. If I said Marina Moroz was going to be my least confident, I lied. 50.5%. Let's actually have them even. Let's have them both at 51%. Andre Fialho, dude, if you know an Andre Fialho fight, you're going to be sweating if you're betting on Andre Fialho. Getting knocked out in his most recent fight with Jake Matthews, getting rocked against Cameron Van Camp, got outstruck by Michel Pereira, did beat Miguel Baeza, which was a very good win, but he's fighting Muslim Salikov, who's them doing very, very good. A lot of good TKO wins, beating Elizu Zaleski and Francisco Trinaldo, so should be a very, very 50-50 fight, which is why, well, I have it at 51%. Waldo Cortez Acosta and Chase Sherman. The one also is going to be an almost confident pick. Waldo Cortez Acosta at 67%, just a little bit more than Chase Sherman right there. Kennedy Nzechukwu is also going to be an almost confident pick. Actually, yeah, we'll have him as an almost confident pick. Ricky Tercios. Move Waldo to 68 right there. To 68. We're going to move Ricky Tercios to 64. And we're going to have right here with Kennedy Nzechukwu at 66%. A lot of movement right there, but I'm going to have Kennedy as a 2-1 favorite. And last but not least, we got Sergey Spivak taking on Derek Lewis. Not going to be a confident pick, not going to be an almost confident pick or a super confident pick, but it's going to be right there with Natalia Silva at 59.99999% as a very, very slightly, like an almost confident pick right there. You could be right there to almost confident pick, right there to super confident, confidence and things like that, but he's just going to be a slight lean right there. And if you're wondering where all of our confident picks are, we don't have any. We have no confident picks. And if you're wondering where the confident picks range is, that is from 70% to 79 point, well, 9999999%. And we have nobody in that little range right there for this fight card. So that's all we got. Super confident Jack Della Maddalena at 85%. Confident picks, we got none of them right there. Almost confident picks, we got Charles Johnson at 69%. Waldo Cortez Acosta at 68%. Kennedy Nzechukwu at 66%. Ricky Tercios at 64%. Sergey Spivak almost at 60%. Natalia Silva 59%. Maria Oliveira 57.5%. Brady Heastand 55%. Miles Johns at 54%. Rodolfo Vieira at 53%. Marina Moroz at 51%. And Andre Fialho at 51%. Those are most confident picks to least confident picks. These are the 5 right here that I am most confident in at UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Spivak. If we were to do a parlay, sometimes people do this like every single week. All of my confident picks, all of my almost confident picks, and of course all of my super confident picks. A lot of people like to go out there and just see what the odds would be if you were to parlay every single one of those guys right there. So if we were to parlay every single one of them inside of the UFC, these are the odds that we would get for all of those guys. We would get plus 700 for Waldo, Kennedy, Jack Della, Charles Johnson, and Ricky Tercios. Bet how you must, bet how you please. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment your confident picks down below. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. That is it for today's MMA news. Let's read the comments really quick. Based MMA Bert, Salikov's chin must have been loosened since the Jingli Yang fight. Fard, I don't know what that means. Yo, I'm so glad Izzy lost. 2 blackies down. 1 to go. Robert Tishes, blink once if Joey molests you. Bink. Bink. Alright, thank you guys for watching. That is it for today's MMA news and